The Wyoming sunset painted the sky in shades of crimson and gold as 70-year-old rancher Samuel McKenzie finished his evening chores at his isolated homestead. It was August 1905, and Sam had been living alone in the remote valley for 15 years since his wife Martha passed away from consumption. The solitude had become his companion, offering peace from memories too painful to bear in the company of others. Sam was walking from his barn toward his modest cabin when he sensed something that made him pause. After decades on the frontier, he had learned to trust his instincts, and right now they were telling him he was being watched. The feeling raised the hair on the back of his neck. Despite the warm evening air, slowly and carefully Sam turned to scan the tree line that bordered his property. At first he saw nothing but shadows and branches moving in the gentle breeze. Then gradually his eyes began to pick out shapes that were too still to deliberate to be natural. Native American warriors, at least a dozen of them positioned silently among the pines, like ghosts materialized from the wilderness itself. They were so motionless and perfectly camouflaged that Sam wondered how long they had been observing him without his knowledge. Sam felt his heart begin to race but forced himself to remain calm. Sudden movements or displays of fear could turn a tense situation deadly in an instant. Instead, he continued walking toward his cabin at the same steady pace, while keeping his hands visible and away from the rifle leaning against his porch. Good evening, Sam called out in a clear voice that carried across the valley. I see you there among the trees. You are welcome to approach if you come in peace. For a long moment nothing happened. The warriors remained motionless as statues while Sam waited on his porch. Then slowly one figure stepped out from behind a large pine tree. He was a tall man, perhaps 50 years old, with long black hair and traditional clothing decorated with intricate beadwork. The warrior walked toward Sam's cabin with the fluid grace of someone who had spent his life moving silently through wilderness. His bearing spoke of authority, and his weathered face showed the wisdom that came from years of leadership and hard decisions. As the leader approached, Sam could see that he carried no weapons in his hands, though a bow and quiver were visible across his back. This was either a gesture of peaceful intent or supreme confidence in his ability to defend himself if necessary. I am Chief Standing Bear of the Northern Cheyenne, the warrior said in careful English as he stopped about 20 feet from Sam's porch. We have been watching your valley for many days. Sam studied the chief's face, seeing intelligence and dignity there. I am Samuel McKenzie, and this is my home. You and your warriors are welcome here if you come as friends. Chief Standing Bear nodded slightly, acknowledging Sam's words. You have lived in this place for many winters. You tend your cattle and horses. You harm no one and take only what you need from the land. Sam was surprised by how much the chief knew about his daily life. You have been watching me for longer than just a few days. Chief Standing Bear's expression remained serious. My people have observed you since you first came to this valley. We have seen how you treat the land and the animals. We have seen that you live with honor even when you think no one is watching. The other warriors began to emerge from the tree line, moving with the same silent grace. As their leader, Sam counted 12 men, all appearing to be experienced fighters despite their peaceful approach. Their presence filled him with both awe and apprehension. Why have you chosen to reveal yourselves now? Sam asked. What has changed that brings you out of hiding? Chief Standing Bear looked toward the mountains in the distance where storm clouds were gathering. Great trouble comes to this land. The army prepares to move against all free Cheyenne, forcing us onto reservations where our people sicken and die. We face choices that will determine whether our children have any future at all. Sam felt a chill despite the warm evening air. He had heard rumors of new military campaigns against the remaining independent native tribes, but had hoped they were exaggerated. What does this have to do with me, Chief Standing Bear? I am just an old rancher who wants to live quietly and bother no one. Chief Standing Bear studied Sam's face with eyes that seemed to see into his soul. You are more than you appear, Samuel McKenzie. My grandfather knew your grandfather during the Great War between the tribes and the army. Your family name is remembered among my people. Sam felt his heart skip a beat. His grandfather had indeed served as a cavalry officer during the Indian Wars, but Sam had never spoken of that family history To anyone in the territory. My grandfather fought against your people, Sam said quietly. That is not something I am proud of, but I cannot change. The past, Chief Standing Bear nodded. Your grandfather also saved the lives of Cheyenne women and children. When other soldiers would have killed them, he showed mercy when mercy was rare. That debt has never been forgotten. The revelation left Sam speechless. He had heard family stories about his grandfather's service, but nothing about acts of mercy toward Native Americans. The idea that such kindness had been remembered across generations was both humbling and surprising. We come to you now because we need what your grandfather once provided, Chief Standing Bear continued. Not military aid, but the help of someone who understands that all people deserve to live with dignity. Sam looked at the circle of warriors surrounding his property. They could have killed him easily, but instead, they had come seeking assistance. What kind of help are you asking for? Chief Standing Bear gestured toward the gathering storm clouds. The army comes with many soldiers and powerful weapons. My people cannot fight them and win. But perhaps we can find another way to survive with honor intact. Sam began to understand the magnitude of what was being asked of him. You want sanctuary, a place to hide until the danger passes. Chief Standing Bear's expression grew grave. More than sanctuary. We need someone who can speak for us to the white authorities. Someone whose word will be believed when we say we want only peace. The weight of the request settled on Sam's shoulders like a physical burden. He was being asked to risk everything he had built in order to help people he barely knew. Yet the memory of his grandfather's mercy and the dignity of these warriors made refusal seem impossible. Chief Standing Bear, Sam said carefully, what you are asking could cost me my land, my freedom, and possibly my life. The army does not look kindly on civilians who help fugitive tribes. Chief Standing Bear nodded. We know the price you would pay. That is why we do not ask lightly. But you are the only white man in this territory that my people trust completely. Sam looked around at the warriors who had materialized from the wilderness like figures from a dream. Their presence had transformed his quiet valley into something charged with possibility and danger. How many people are we talking about? Sam asked. Just warriors or entire families? Chief Standing Bear's eyes showed both hope and sorrow. 43 souls, including women, children, and elders. They wait in the high country for word of whether sanctuary exists in the valley of the honest rancher. Subscribe to our channel for more incredible Western stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat on TV. Just press subscribe with your remote for more epic adventures. Sam realized he was facing the most important decision of his life. 15 years of solitude had not prepared him for this moment, when history was asking him to choose between safety and honor. The storm clouds were moving closer, bringing with them rain that would soon fall on both native and white camps alike. In that approaching darkness, Sam would have to decide whether his isolated valley would become a refuge for people seeking only the chance to live with dignity. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe now to follow this epic Western adventure and discover how one old rancher's choice will determine the fate of an entire tribe. On TV, just hit subscribe with your remote to continue this powerful story of courage, honor, and sacrifice. The storm that had been building during Chief Standing Bear's visit arrived with fury just after midnight. Rain lashed Sam's cabin while thunder echoed through the valley like cannon fire. But the weather was nothing compared to the tempest of thoughts and emotions churning in the old rancher's mind. As he considered the momentous decision before him, Sam spent the sleepless night studying maps and thinking about the logistics of hiding 43 people in his remote valley. The terrain offered natural concealment, but food and shelter would be major challenges. More importantly, discovery by army patrols would mean disaster for everyone involved. At dawn, Chief Standing Bear returned alone, approaching Sam's cabin through the dripping pine trees. His weathered face showed the strain of a leader whose people's survival hung in the balance of one man's decision. Samuel McKenzie. Standing Bear said formally, "Have you reached a decision about providing sanctuary for my people?" Sam had indeed reached a decision, though it had cost him a night of agonizing deliberation. Chief Standing Bear, your people are welcome in this valley for as long as they need refuge. I give you my word that I will do everything in my power to protect them. Relief flooded Standing Bear's dignified features. You honor the memory of your grandfather and prove that courage can pass from generation to generation. My people will not forget this kindness. Sam held up his hand. Before you thank me, we need to discuss the practical details. Hiding 43 people from Army patrols will require careful planning and absolute discipline. Standing Bear nodded. My people understand the need for silence and concealment. We have been evading the Army for many moons, but we need your guidance about the safe places in this valley. Sam spread out a rough map he had drawn of his property during the night. There are 3 locations that could work for camps. This box canyon has water and natural shelter. The Aspen Grove near the North Ridge offers good concealment, and there are caves behind the waterfall that could hide people during emergencies. Standing Bear studied the map with the tactical awareness of an experienced war leader. We will establish small camps in all 3 locations. If soldiers discover one group, the others will remain hidden. Sam pointed to the main trail leading to his ranch. This is the route the Army will use if they come searching. I can see them coming from miles away and signal warnings to your camps. Standing Bear traced the escape routes with his finger. If discovery becomes certain, my people can retreat deeper into the wilderness. We ask only for time to rest and plan our next movements. Over the following days, Sam watched in amazement as the Cheyenne families established their hidden camps with remarkable efficiency. Men, women, and children moved through his valley like spirits, leaving barely any trace of their presence. The refugees included Chief Standing Bear's own family, including his wife Morning Star and their teenage son Swift Eagle. There were also several elders whose wisdom guided tribal decisions and young mothers with small children who needed protection most of all. Sam found himself drawn into the daily life of the hidden camps despite his natural inclination toward solitude. The Cheyenne shared their meals with him and included him in evening conversations around carefully concealed fires. Morning Star approached Sam on the 3rd day of the sanctuary carrying a beautifully crafted piece of beadwork. She spoke in Cheyenne, with Standing Bear translating her words. My wife wishes to thank you for protecting our children. She has made this medicine bag to carry your spirit safely through the dangers that may come. Sam accepted the gift with genuine emotion. Please, tell her that her kindness means more to me than she can know. It has been many years since I felt part of a family. Swift Eagle, the chief's son, proved to be particularly curious about Sam's life and experiences. The young man spoke excellent English and asked thoughtful questions about ranching, farming, and life among white settlers. You live alone by choice, Swift Eagle observed. That is unusual among your people. Most whites gather in towns and cities. Sam nodded. I came here after my wife died because I needed solitude to heal from grief. But I have discovered that being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Swift Eagle considered this wisdom. My father says you carry sadness like a sacred burden. He believes the spirits brought us together so that we might help each other heal. The insight surprised Sam with its accuracy. Perhaps your father is wiser than I realized. Helping your people has given me purpose I had forgotten I needed. On the 5th day, Sam spotted dust clouds on the horizon indicating approaching riders. His heart raced as he counted at least 20 cavalrymen heading directly toward his valley. The feared Army patrol had finally arrived. Sam rode hard to the nearest Cheyenne camp and gave the prearranged signal. Within minutes, the families had vanished into their hiding places, leaving no trace of their presence except to trained eyes that knew what to look for. Captain Wilson of the 7th Cavalry rode up to Sam's cabin with the bearing of an officer, accustomed to being feared and obeyed. His hard eyes surveyed the valley, looking for any signs of the Native Americans he was hunting. "McKenzie," Wilson said without dismounting, "we have reports of Cheyenne fugitives in this area. Have you seen any Indian activity on your property?" Sam met Wilson's gaze steadily. "I have seen nothing unusual, Captain. Just the normal wildlife and occasional deer hunters passing through." Wilson studied Sam's face, looking for signs of deception. "These are dangerous renegades, McKenzie. They have refused orders to report to the reservation and are considered hostile. If you encounter them, you are required by territorial law to report their location immediately." Sam wondered how many other civilians Wilson had threatened with legal consequences. for showing mercy to desperate people." "I understand, Captain. I will certainly report any threats to my safety or property." Wilson dismounted and began walking around Sam's ranch buildings, obviously searching for evidence of the hidden Cheyenne. His soldiers spread out to examine the surrounding terrain with military thoroughness. Sam's heart pounded as he watched the soldiers probe areas that came dangerously close to the concealed camps. But the Cheyenne had chosen their hiding places with the wisdom of generations and remained invisible even to trained military eyes. After 2 hours of searching, Wilson remounted his horse. With obvious frustration, "We will be conducting regular patrols through this area, McKenzie. Any assistance to fugitive Indians will be considered treason against the United States." Sam nodded respectfully. "I am a law-abiding citizen, Captain. I want no trouble with the Army or anyone else." Wilson studied Sam one more time before spurring his horse toward the valley entrance. His final words carried a clear threat. "We will be watching this area very carefully. I suggest you remember where your loyalties should lie." After the patrol disappeared, Sam waited a full hour before signaling the all-clear to the hidden camps. Gradually, Cheyenne families emerged from their concealment like flowers blooming after a storm. Chief Standing Bear approached with obvious gratitude. "You risked much to protect us, Samuel McKenzie. Captain Wilson suspected your involvement, but your courage kept our people safe." Sam felt the weight of what they had all just survived. That was only the first patrol chief. Wilson will be back with more men, and they will search more thoroughly next time. Standing Bear nodded grimly. "We know our time here is limited, but each day of safety allows our elders to rest and our children to regain strength for the journey ahead. Don't miss the next chapter of this epic Western adventure. Subscribe to our channel for more incredible Western stories. On TV, just press subscribe with your remote for more epic adventures." Sam realized that providing sanctuary was only the beginning of his commitment to these people. The real test would come when Wilson returned with more soldiers and greater determination to find the fugitive Cheyenne. Subscribe now to follow the conclusion of this powerful story. On TV, just hit subscribe with your remote to see how courage and honor triumph over fear and prejudice in the final confrontation. The Second Army Patrol arrived exactly 1 week after the first with twice as many soldiers and grim determination to locate the missing Cheyenne. Sam watched through his field glasses as Captain Wilson led 40 cavalrymen into his valley, accompanied by Apache scouts whose tracking skills would make concealment nearly impossible. Chief Standing Bear had anticipated this moment and made the painful decision to divide his people. Half would attempt to escape deeper into the wilderness while the others would remain hidden in the most secure locations, hoping to avoid detection. Until the patrol moved on, Samuel McKenzie, Standing Bear said as they watched the approaching soldiers, "Today you will face the greatest test of the courage you have shown our people. Captain Wilson suspects your involvement and will use every method to force the truth from you." Sam checked his rifle and pistol, knowing that the next few hours would determine whether his sanctuary succeeded or failed catastrophically. "Chief, I gave my word to protect your people. Whatever happens, I will not betray that trust." The family groups that were attempting to escape had already departed through hidden trails that led deeper into the mountain wilderness. Those who remained were hidden in the caves behind the waterfall, where the sound of rushing water would mask any noise they might accidentally make. Wilson approached Sam's cabin with the confidence of a man who believed he held all the advantages. This time he had brought not just soldiers, but also civilian officials who could provide legal justification for any actions he chose to take. "McKenzie," Wilson said, dismounting with deliberate authority, "I am here with a federal warrant to search your property for fugitive Indians who have violated territorial law by refusing to report to their assigned reservation." Sam studied the warrant Wilson presented, noting that it gave the Army broad powers to conduct searches and make arrests. "Captain, you are welcome to search my property. I have nothing to hide from federal authorities." Wilson's smile was cold and calculating. "We shall see about that, McKenzie. My Apache scouts have found signs that large numbers of people have been moving through this valley. The evidence suggests they received assistance from someone familiar with the terrain." Sam maintained his calm demeanor despite the danger he sensed approaching. "Captain, I see deer, elk, and cattle tracks throughout this valley every day. Perhaps your scouts are misinterpreting natural animal sign." Wilson gestured to his Apache tracker, a weathered man, whose eyes held the accumulated wisdom of reading the wilderness like a book. "Little Wolf is one of the finest trackers in the territory, McKenzie. He does not mistake human sign for animal tracks." The Apache scout approached and spoke to Wilson in English accented with his native tongue. "Many people camped here, women, children, elders. They hid carefully, but sign is clear to those who know how to read the land." Sam felt his heart sink as he realized that the Cheyenne concealment had not been as perfect as they had hoped. The Apache trackers' skills were proving too sophisticated. For even their careful precautions, Wilson studied Sam's face, looking for any reaction to this revelation. "McKenzie, you are standing on federal land where fugitive Indians have been harboring illegally. As a territorial citizen, you are required to assist in their apprehension." Sam met Wilson's gaze directly. "Captain, I have seen no fugitive Indians on my property. I am a simple rancher who tends his cattle and minds his own business." Wilson's expression hardened with barely controlled anger. "Search every building and examine every possible hiding place. These renegades are here somewhere, and I intend to find them." The soldiers spread out across Sam's ranch, conducting a systematic search that was far more thorough than their previous visit. Sam watched with growing anxiety as they moved closer to the areas where Cheyenne families were concealed. Little Wolf followed tracks that led toward the waterfall where the most vulnerable refugees were hidden. Sam knew that discovery was only minutes away unless something diverted the searchers' attention. "Captain Wilson," Sam called out, "I need to speak with you about something important." Wilson approached with suspicion clearly written on his face. "What could you possibly have to tell me, McKenzie?" Sam took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would either save the hidden Cheyenne or doom them all. "Captain, I want to confess that I have been providing food and supplies to Cheyenne families who asked for help. They came to me starving and desperate, and I could not turn them away." Wilson's eyes lit up with triumph. "Finally the truth. Where are they, McKenzie? Where are you hiding these fugitives?" Sam pointed toward the mountains in the distance. "They left 3 days ago, Captain, headed north toward the Canadian border. I gave them supplies for the journey, but they are long gone by now." Wilson studied Sam's face, trying to determine whether this confession was genuine or a deception designed to protect people who were still hidden nearby. "You admit to providing aid to fugitive Indians?" Wilson asked. "You understand that this makes you guilty of federal crimes?" Sam nodded. "I understand, Captain. I am prepared to face the consequences of my actions, but I could not let women and children starve regardless of their race." Wilson made a decision that would determine the fate of everyone in the valley. "McKenzie, you are under arrest for providing material support to fugitive Indians. Sergeant, place this man in custody while we continue searching for evidence." As Sam was led away in chains, he caught sight of Chief Standing Bear, watching from concealment near the waterfall. Their eyes met for just a moment, and Sam saw gratitude and sorrow mixed in the chief's expression. The army's search continued for hours, but Little Wolf's attention had been diverted by Sam's confession, and the soldiers failed to discover the carefully hidden Cheyenne families. Wilson eventually concluded that the fugitives had indeed escaped and ordered his men to return to their base with Sam as their prisoner. The trial that followed became a sensation throughout the territory as newspapers reported on the old rancher who had risked everything to help desperate Native Americans. Sam's defense attorney argued that providing food to starving people was a moral duty that transcended legal technicalities. Chief Standing Bear and his people had indeed used Sam's sacrifice to escape into the wilderness, where they eventually found safe passage to Canada. Years later, they would return to establish a reservation where their descendants could live with dignity and cultural preservation. Sam served 2 years in federal prison for his actions, but emerged to find that public opinion had largely shifted in his favor. Many territorial citizens had come to admire his courage and principle, even if they disagreed with his methods. When Sam returned to his valley, he found it cared for by neighbors who had maintained his ranch. During his imprisonment, More surprisingly, he discovered that Chief Standing Bear had left a permanent marker near the waterfall honoring their friendship and Sam's sacrifice. The memorial was a medicine wheel constructed from local stones with an inscription in both English and Cheyenne that read, "Here stood a man who chose honor over safety and proved that courage knows no boundaries." Subscribe to our channel for more epic Western stories that celebrate the triumph of good over evil. On TV, just press subscribe with your remote to see more incredible adventures that prove heroes come in all colors and creeds. Years later, when Sam had grown too old to work his ranch alone, Swift Eagle returned from Canada to help care for the man who had saved his family. The young Cheyenne had become a successful educator and wanted to repay the debt his people owed to the honest rancher. Sam's Valley became a symbol of how understanding and compassion could bridge the deepest cultural divides. His willingness to risk everything for people he barely knew inspired others to examine their own prejudices and consider what true neighborliness meant. The story of the old rancher and the silent warriors was passed down through generations as an example of how individual courage could make a difference even in the face of overwhelming institutional power. It proved that sanctuary was not just a place, but a commitment to protecting those who had nowhere else to turn. This Western story reminds us that the greatest victories are often won, not through violence, but through the quiet courage of people who choose to do what is right regardless of the personal cost. Sam McKenzie's empty valley had become full of purpose when he opened it to people who needed refuge from an unjust world. Don't forget to subscribe for more epic Western stories. On TV, just use your remote to hit that subscribe button and never miss an adventure that proves compassion and courage can overcome hatred and fear.